On June 16, two F-14 Tomcats were set ablaze by precision-guided munitions at Tehran's Mehrabad airbase. The video released by the Israeli military quickly sent shockwaves through the world's military observer community, but even more shocking was the truth revealed by open-source intelligence analysis. The two warplanes were in fact airframes that had been abandoned for more than 3 years, with their vertical tails long since dismantled, and their skins cracking and fading under the scorching Iranian plateau sun. The IAF's choice to destroy these aviation specimens is like planting an invisible victory flag on the wreckage of Iran's air defense system. While the wreckage of the F-14 is still burning, the Israeli F-35I fleet is cruising at an altitude of 12,000 meters above Tabriz, and the holographic display in the cockpit is updating in real time the electromagnetic signatures of all Iranian air defense units within a range of 200 kilometers. The roots of this aerial debacle lie deep in the soil of 3 decades of Iranian strategic myopia. While Russia's Sukhoi Design Bureau opened its Su-35S production line, and China's aviation industry showed off its J-10C advanced avionics system, Iran's defense decision-makers were caught up in a fatal obsession with military self-sufficiency. Tehran military forums are filled with contempt for imported equipment. China's warplanes are not as precise as the rivets of the F-14. Russian engine life is only a quarter of the original US. This cognitive bias has led to a staggering mismatch of resources. The Revolutionary Guard's Aerospace Corps spent $1.7 billion on a copy of the AIM-54 Adana missile, but the THAAD-90 missile, it will test fire in 2023, crashed into the sea due to a malfunctioning guide head, and the Defense Forces Aerospace Corps project to convert its fleet of F-5Es with twin drop tails lasted for 11 years, at a cost of the equivalent of 12 brand new FC-1 Block III fighters. Meanwhile, the Israeli Air Force, IAF, has installed 83 deeply modified F-35I Adir, whose belly-shaped fuel tanks extend the combat radius to 1,900 kilometers, and with the US-made a PG-85 active phased array radar, it can lock onto Iranian fighters from 250 kilometers away. Institutional fragmentation has further accelerated the collapse of the air defense system. The Revolutionary Guard's Thunder Air Defense Command Center and the IDF's Guard system operate separately, with two sets of data links forming an electromagnetic barrier over Isfahan. 2025 On June 14, the Faith 373 Missile Brigade deployed in Qom failed to receive an alert due to an incompatible communications protocol when an Israeli electronic warfare fleet carried out a shoot attack on a radar station in West Azerbaijan province. 2027 The F-35I raid was followed 3 days later by an F-35I attack on the Iranian air defense system. When the F-35 is raided the Shiraz missile factory 3 days later, the Revolutionary Guard's Russian-made armor S-1S and the IDF's improved American-made Hawk missile positions were still scanning their own airspace, failing to coordinate their firepower. This fragmentation is even more deadly at the level of operational thinking. The Iranian Air Force's exercise 2024 saw a fleet of F-14s still practicing formation fighting tactics, while Israeli pilots had already completed more than 2,000 over-the-horizon missile firings in simulated chambers. Israel's victory was the result of a battlefield reconfiguration of the penetrating air control doctrine by 26 F-35I stealth penetration echelon using wave penetration tactics, the first 12 fighters to Mach 0.95 speed in the 150 meters ultra-low altitude breakthrough, airborne electronic warfare systems to Iranian radar to release customized jamming waveforms, subsequent echelons of the 8,000 meter altitude to open the beast mode, carrying 16 SDB small-diameter bombs to implement the face of the kill. Infrared images of KC-46 refueling planes leaked from the internet confirm that the Israeli army has established 3 aerial refueling corridors along the Iraq-Iran border, enabling the F-35I to stay in Iranian airspace for more than 150 minutes. These stealthy killers, guided by Heron TP drones, use GBU-53 B bombs to accurately destroy the Cascade Hall at the Natanz nuclear facility. The strike layer outside the defense zone shows more subtle system coordination. After the Delilah missiles launched by the F-15I fleet in Iraqi airspace traveled 480 kilometers, their infrared guides were able to automatically identify and attack the power hubs of the missile factories. At the same time, SAR-6 frigates deployed in the Mediterranean Sea launched Sea Destroyer missiles to hit the Kara drone factories, with a high trajectory across 3 countries' airspace. The Kara drone factory. The strategic tsunami triggered by the collapse of air power is reshaping the landscape of the Middle East. The Israeli Air Force used kill box tactics to clear the missile force. Each kill team consisted of 2 F-35Is, 4 F-16s, and 1 Sea Eagle early warning aircraft, destroying 43 Iranian mobile launchers in 6 days. The International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, emergency report noted that although the Fordo underground nuclear facility had not been directly hit, the damage to its external power system and cooling units would lead to the overheating and meltdown of the centrifuge fleet. Even more deadly are the economics of war. Iran's Shahid Himmat industrial group only produces 90 Hybel medium-range missiles per month, while Israeli airstrikes deplete Iran's missile stockpile by 200 missiles per day. The plight of the people is exacerbated. The number of refrigerators and air conditioners lost in Tehran's airstrikes is equivalent to 12% of Iran's imports for the whole of 2024. Geopolitical tectonic plates shifted and reorganized in the shockwaves of the blast. For the first time, the Saudis acquiesced to Israeli night drones scouting Houthi targets through their airspace, while the UAE provided undisclosed logistical support to the Israeli military from its base in Fujairah. This invisible Gulf coalition puts Iran under strategic siege. The Trump administration is not directly involved in the war, but it is connecting TPY-4 radar data from the U.S. military's Al Udeid base in Qatar directly to Israel's chain of command and providing critical satellite over-the-top intelligence. Russia, trapped in the Ukraine, has delivered only 6 unupgraded Su-35s on an oil for equipment basis via Caspian Sea tankers, and China faces a difficult balancing act. The 052DL destroyers escorting ships in the Persian Gulf are equipped with meter-wave anti-camouflage radar capable of detecting the F-35s, while the fleet of Yun-20s at the Djibouti secured base can only carry out non-combat evacuation missions. Iran in ruin stands at the crossroads of history. If it continues to maintain its current defense system, its strategic assets will be lost within 6 months. Memos flowing from the Office of Revolutionary Guards Air Force Commander Hijazadeh show that Tehran is urgently evaluating 3 ways out. One is to secretly introduce 12 FC-1 Block 3 fighters through Oman transit. These fighters, equipped with KLJ-7A radar, can fire PL-15E missiles from 170 kilometers away, forcing Israeli F-35s to raise their flight altitude to expose their whereabouts. And 2 is to use Caspian Sea oil and gas rights to exchange for Russian S-500 air defense rights. The second is to trade oil and gas rights in the Caspian Sea for the right to deploy Russia's S-500 air defense system. And the most revolutionary option is to launch a Sky integration plan to dismantle the command barriers between the Revolutionary Guards and the National Defense Forces and build a unified data chain network. The window for these options is closing fast. Israel's Mossad has penetrated Iran's air defense chain of command and obtained the coordinates of the yet-to-be-deployed silent record early warning radar. The smoke hovering over the wreckage of the F-14 signaled the ultimate law of modern warfare. The right to control the air is the right to survive. When the titanium skeleton of the last Tomcat is gradually twisted and deformed at the Mehrabad base, the power structure in the Middle East is experiencing a new birth pain. This is not only about the control of the Persian Gulf shipping corridor, but will also determine the pricing mechanism of the global energy market and the direction of the de-dollarization process. In the aftermath of the Jdam bomb, history is writing a cruel footnote. Whether Israel builds the Middle East version of NATO, final shape, or Iran in desperate circumstances to complete the military nirvana, the answer is hidden in the tracks of oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, following the waves to the unpredictable shore.